If I was a white person, I wouldn't have been treated in that way, and I think that in itself kind of cemented all what had happened to me and acknowledged all what happened to me.
One of the most highly charged moments of the inquiry was when the men that Doreen believed had killed her son walked brazenly through the angry crowd. It was the police, not the 5 suspects, who were on trial, but over the 2 days that they were questioned, they were evasive and showed clear contempt for the whole proceedings. This intensified public outrage, and there were ugly scenes as they left.
I watched it from a high window in the building, and you could see the 5 making their way down the ramp and out into the street, and there was crowds on either side being held back by the police, but only just.
After not cooperating with the inquiry, Dobson, Norris and the others then shocked everyone by deciding to appear on The Tonight Show.
Their public reputation couldn't really have been any lower, so I guess they had nothing to lose.
But when questioned by Martin Bashir, they could only fall back on the same rehearsed denials.
I put it to you that you were one of the 5 responsible for Stephen Lawrence's murder.
But that's your opinion.
I put it to you that you were one of the 5. Did you kill Stephen Lawrence?
No, I did not.
Your memory loss, for some people, is very convenient and is basically not memory loss at all. It's hiding the truth.
Yeah, that's what...
It's lying.
Yeah, but I'd like to know where they can interpret that from.
Because
I can't remember. Does that make me guilty?
It came across as self-serving. It came across to some people as even further evidence that, yep, they probably did do it.
The public knew they'd done it, the Lawrences knew they'd done it, but that was no comfort to Doreen and Neville. Their son's killers were still at large, and the mistakes the police had made could not be undone.
You can't turn the clock back. You can't all of a sudden just click your finger and all the evidence are there. So, you know, what chance do we stand?
Doreen and Neville Lawrence had fought for 12 years for justice for their murdered son. Gary Dobson, Neil Acorte and Luke Knight had been tried and acquitted and were immune from further prosecution. It looked like the end of the road. But in 2005, that was about to change.
The most far-reaching change to criminal law for nearly 800 years could soon be brought in. It's the scrapping of the double jeopardy rule that means a suspect can't be tried for the same crime twice.
If there was compelling new evidence that could not have been available at the time, the Court of Appeal could grant a new trial.
But the investigation had always suffered from a lack of forensic evidence, and it was now considered a cold case. To benefit from this change in the law, it would need a radical new approach.
It's a question of somebody with a fresh pair of eyes and no kind of preconceived ideas and preconceptions, looking really quite painstakingly at all the evidence, all the statements and all the possibilities.
That person was Detective Clive Driscoll, who took over the case in 2006. He didn't believe that the lack of forensic evidence was due to the fleeting nature of the attack.
I always felt that this attack on young Stephen, there was opportunity for contact.
Driscoll was convinced that if there was contact, then the forensic evidence would be there. It just hadn't been found. So he ordered a painstaking re-examination of the suspect's clothing. Since the original tests, forensic science had evolved.
In the mid-1990s, you would use a chemical screening test for blood, and if you got no reactions from that screening test, then you wouldn't use a microscope to look any further for blood. But in our examinations, we went back to items and we examined whole items using a microscope, and that's one of the reasons why we came across evidence that hadn't been found before.
We're now able to analyse microscopic amounts of blood, or even blood that's no longer visible, whereas years ago they would actually need quite a large stain by today's standards.
One of the items of clothing that went under this close scrutiny was Gary Dobson's jacket.
The most significant breakthrough, undoubtedly, was on the 22nd of April 2008, where I was at the 15-year memorial for Stephen's death, standing in St Martin's in the Field Church, when in fact I received a phone call from Mr. Ed Jarman telling me of the significant breakthrough, which was obviously blood.